Hey, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is your girl, Miss Honey, here for another Handmaid's Tale review slash discussion. Although I promise I'm not going to hold you guys long today because it really wasn't, it was a lot, but it wasn't, the episode wasn't that action packed. I should say that. It didn't really become action packed until the end. That's just a small snippet, so I'm not going to hold you long, okay? Listen, if you are new to my channel, if you're just now discovering Miss Honey and the Honeybees, I encourage you to subscribe. I'd love to have you as a member of the tribe. We do a lot of detailed discussions around here about a myriad of things, and I think you would enjoy it. So yeah, kick off your shoes, sit a spell, stay a while. Also hit that notification bell. It doesn't work very well here lately on YouTube. A lot of people complaining about not getting their notifications. But I find that for me, a small content creator who doesn't put out daily videos like that, it seems to do okay. So hit that notification bell and hit all so that you get my community posts too. A lot of times I have something to say, but it is not, for me, video worthy. So I will put it in the community section, and you don't want to miss those either. Also, you guys know what I consider the like button, the thumbs up button. I consider it like saying, hey, Miss Honey. You know what I'm saying? You just speaking. You speaking while you here. If you here, go ahead and speak to me. You know what I'm saying? Just throw your hand up, throw your thumbs up, right? And hit that like button. Again, a lot of people aren't watching this show, or maybe they just don't have a lot to say about it. I don't know. But Handmaid's Tale, which is an original series on Hulu, is a really good show. If you have not seen the previous 3 seasons, I encourage you to binge watch. It's you guys know, in some parts of the Southeast, gas is scarce. There's a shortage, so you kind of want to sit on the gas that you already have in your tank, and there's no better way to do that than to piddle around your house and also to binge watch. If you get the opportunity, I think that at its cheapest level, Hulu is about between $5 and $8 a month. You might be able to get a free trial out there. Go out there and get yourself a free trial for 10 days to 30 days, and binge watch this show. It will have you on an emotional roller coaster, but it will definitely entertain you for sure. So check it out. Yeah, talk about it down below. Get down below and discuss some stuff with me. I love to talk about it in the comments. I'm not getting a lot of comments about this show, which is my whole point about binge watching, because I want to talk about it. You guys know I like talking with y'all down in the comments, okay? All right, so let's get into this episode. This episode, Handmaid's Tale, Season 4, Episode 5, is entitled Chicago, because as we know, June and Janine have escaped. They're the only two surviving members of the Handmaids that were down at Commander Keyes and Mrs. Keyes' compound, being hidden. Of all of those handmaids, only June and Janine were able to survive it. And they have found themselves in a rebel faction, inside of a rebel faction in Chicago. And it's just crazy how far they have come from season 1, these two. But it has always been the two of them who have remained pretty steady with this show. And so we get to see them continuing on that walk in terms of their, actual relationship and friendship. And we also get to see a lot of Janine speaking up and, being forthright about how she ultimately feels about how things have gone and how June has handled things, right? We're going to talk about Janine and June last because they actually end the episode. And so I like to do, them last. But we're going to talk about four things really. We're going to talk about, or five. We're going to talk about June, she's gonna seek out more active rebels while Janine tries to help her fit in with the new group of survivors, the rebel faction that they're currently in. We're gonna talk about Aunt Lydia, who has been involuntarily retired as an aunt, and how she uses her evil encouragement to reposition herself for greatness. Okay. We're also going to talk about Commander Lawrence, who shows everyone who's really in charge of the girls. And we're going to talk about Nick, Commander Nick. Yeah, he's sitting at the big table. He's at the end of the big table, but he's still at the big table. Nick gets a chess lesson this episode, right? And we're going to talk about Moira just a little bit. Moira comes out of the fog, right? And we don't know how much out of the fog that she comes. In this episode, she literally walks out of the fog. But we don't know if she's going to walk out of that fog of feelings that she actually holds for June. Because as we know, Moira, as well as Luke, have some resentment towards June for the fact that she got 86 children out of Gilead, as well as a host of adults, between 6 to 10 adults. I can't remember which one. And she herself did not come. She herself did not get herself out, right? We talked about that last episode. June, I think a lot of the reasons why June stayed is because June wants to definitely do her ultimate best to get her daughter out, her firstborn. So let's go ahead and get into Aunt Lydia. Aunt Lydia has been involuntarily retired. You guys know that she has been on June's neck through this whole series. And June had once again bested her in the Crossroads episode where she was able to overpower her and free her handmaid sisters. Now, they all, like I said, was ultimately killed in this uprising, this small mini uprising. And June and Janine are the only two survivors. Well, they have retired Aunt Lydia because of this. It is one thing after another, right? And Aunt Lydia is indoctrinated within herself. She is, instead of embracing retirement, like some of the other aunts there that are in the aunt retirement home, she's looking out the window as she walks on a treadmill, and she sees that there is a new crop of handmaids out there, and there is some other aunt that is going to be supervising them into sexual slavery, and she wants it to be her. She feels like, I'm the best person to supervise the girls into sexual slavery, so I should be out there, and she talks to another person who's there, who's like supervisor of the aunts, or in charge of the aunts, if you will, that are there in the retirement community. And she talks to her about, hey, I'm getting back into fighting shape. I want to get back out there and supervise the girls into sexual slavery. And the woman tries to be, tactful at first, and then Aunt Lydia continues to push, and she says, you need to sit down. You need to sit down somewhere, ma'am. You cannot be trusted with these girls. You have been bested several times by these girls, okay? And we can't trust you to do that anymore. So you get right on back on that treadmill, or get over there and play bridge, you know what I'm saying, gin rummy, baccarat, and don't worry about what we got going on outside. And so Aunt Lydia is resentful. So she goes to Commander Lawrence, who has been before the board, if you will. He holds a higher position as a commander, one, because He has a certain mental capacity for a financial infrastructure. And so he's key for that reason, but also because they have had, I think, 9 commanders killed with bad liquor, thanks to June, and 6 in the hospital. So they are running short on commanders. They need him. And we know that Aunt Lydia is the collector of information. We find out that one of the things that Aunt Lydia does when she gets a new crop of handmaids, she lets them know that they should stay together. They are always walking in twos and in pairs, and Janine and June were paired together, just as an example, as handmaids. And so they make them sort of responsible for each other and accountable for each other. You know what I mean? I think it's season 2 we get to see a handmaid that's kind of really bought into, a black handmaid. By the way, it's not a lot of African Americans in this series, but she's bought into the system of the eye, and the Gilead, and she is sort of a tattletale, and really keeps her eye on June, and because June is paired with her. And this is something else that pairing them does. But also we see where Aunt Lydia tells the girls, in their orientation, so to speak, that they're going to go through a lot, they're going to hear a lot, they're going to see a lot, and they're going to be mistreated at times, but that's their lot in life, and that's the mantle that they carry, right? And how they're going to, get through that is by bringing her all, telling her everything, coming to her and talking to her, and she's going to help them work through it. Well, all of this information that Aunt Lydia has gathered over time at being an aunt, she has saved it, for a day such as this. She goes to Commander Lawrence and she tells Commander Lawrence, I know this, and this about what you've done and how you've done it. Okay. And if you don't help me get reinstated as head supervisor over sexual slavery, then I am going to go to the board and I'm going to tell them all of these things that you've done. She does it with a straight face. And Commander Lawrence is true to form. He true to form is unmoved, unbothered. You know what I mean? He's an intellectual person, so he doesn't go a lot on emotion. We saw a lot more emotion from Commander Lawrence when he was with his wife, because his wife suffered from mental illness. And in those moments, we saw him more passionate, more emotional, and more fragile, right? Emotionally fragile. And so she goes to him and she lays it all out on the table. Okay. So now let's talk about Commander Lawrence. Commander Lawrence goes before the board, and he is still secretly, we think, trying to help the rebels, trying to help Mayday come out of this system in Gilead. The system that they have in place in Gilead, this patriarchal tyranny that they have, I think kind of turns Commander Lawrence's stomach. Again, he's an intellectual. He doesn't really feel like it needs all of this physical violence per se. He doesn't really feel like they need to enslave. Like this whole journey that they're on as a patriarchal, tyrannical society is in his mind not the way to go, right? And so he goes to them with this logical opportunity. And it is to help Mayday for sure. It is to help dismantle Gilead, but he needs to present it in a way that it seems wise. They are seeing a lot of uprising, and while their army is very, very strong in the fight to overtake all of the United States or all of this entire country, They have a very strong army. You know what I mean? They are kind of like Russia. They have several places that they've overtaken, and other places they're encroaching upon, and those places are rebelling, such as Chicago. And while they still have a strong foothold there because they have a huge army, a strong army, and a lot of military forces, they are really holding their own, which is fine. But there is this whole other United States faction, if you will, who don't believe in what Gilead is preaching, and so they have sanctioned Gilead, kind of like we sanction Russia or sanction North Korea and that type of thing. They have sanctioned Gilead, and these sanctions have left them in a drought, food drought, and several other goods and services that they need to survive as a society. They have been sanctioned from those things. And it is his proposal, Commander Lawrence's proposal, that why don't we do this? Why don't we do a ceasefire to show sort of good faith in what's going on, and hopefully this will help ease the sanctions by allowing goods and services to be transferred back and forth, and we can at least restock and re-up and then reapproach this whole attack war thing a little bit later. And at first, when he announces it, he makes this proposal. First of all, he's looked down upon. He's not high up on the respect list anymore because June was in his house when the 86 kids were absconded with. And though they cannot prove that he was helpful in that, Nick, who's a commander sitting at the end, he knows. And he has been coming to Commander Lawrence and leading him to believe that it is only on his word that Commander Lawrence is still alive and is still utilized by the board and is still, in fact, semi sorta kind of pseudo involved with the board, a part of the board. And they know a little bit. They know enough, but again, they need Commander Lawrence. So after they take a couple of digs, then they take a vote and they all unanimously agree to shoot down his proposal. And so when Aunt Lydia comes to him and says, I know all of these things about you that will get you hung up on the wall unless you help me, he laughs, he scoffs, because he realizes, just like Nick, Aunt Lydia is a pawn and doesn't even know it. Okay, so in this episode, Commander Lawrence is in charge of the chessboard. He has complete control of the chessboard, and he knows it. Aunt Lydia thinks she's in charge. Nick thinks he's in charge of the chessboard, but Commander Lawrence shows her that he is in fact in charge, right? And so he tells her, oh, there it is. When she says, I'm going to tell on you. There it is. There it is. There's the ugly face of blackmail and evil. You know what I'm saying? He just play her out. He doesn't panic. He doesn't plead with her. He doesn't take this murderous approach with her, because as a male, he could give her the old slip and fall. You know what I'm saying? What happened to Aunt Lydia? I don't know. But he doesn't. He instead tries to use her. He says, you know a lot about a lot of the board members, don't you? Why don't you use your powers for some good, right? Instead of evil. You know a lot about them because the handmaids come and talk to you about them. Why don't you give me some information that will help me get what I want on this board, and I will in turn help you get what you want with this board, and we can take back Gilead. We can really, really, really do some good in Gilead. Now, he's presenting it to her like whatever her mindset is of what needs to be rectified in Gilead is what his is as well. But we know ultimately Commander Lawrence's agenda is to help the rebel cause, help June, and ultimately dismantle Gilead in its current state. And so she's like, if I have your word that when they find Offred of it's really of Fred, by the way. Um, when they find of Fred that she will get of Fred or of Joseph, one of them, and put them back. He will put them back in her care so she can properly discipline them. Properly discipline them. Properly, you know what I'm saying, chastise them only as Aunt Lydia can do. Aunt Lydia is the reason why Janine got her eye put out. You know what I'm saying? That's the punishment she chose for Janine when Janine disobeyed. Okay, so that's what she mean. She gonna really, really, really show them who's in charge, right? Through punishment, through torture, through mutilation, right? Okay. So, yeah, command, they agree, give me your word, and they both agree, and they go on about their way. At the same time, we're going to skip over to Nick, Commander Nick. There was some question if Nick was just like over the military, or if he was an actual commander. Here they call him commander all throughout the episode, so he is a commander, and he is sitting on the commander's board. Again, he's at the end of the table, but he is at the table. All right. So, Commander Nick, when Commander Lawrence goes before the board with this proposal and they unanimously vote against it, Nick is the last hand that goes up. Now, Commander Lawrence is taken aback a little bit because, Nick, I thought you was in on this with me. I thought you was working with me. Nick is trying to find out where the hell is June. They love each other. They are so devoted to each other. And so, quote fingers. And so he wants to know where June is. Nick is going around talking to the Marthas, slyly, sneakily going around talking to, the Marthas, trying to figure out if they have heard anything about where June is. Remember, the Marthas are the communication system in Gilead. You know what I mean? For their period, they're the communication system because they're able to move around freely, being house managers and whatnot. And so he meets with two Marthas, and the one Martha, who's a black woman, she seems to be a little bit more authoritative and in charge. She tells him she doesn't give a goddamn about June because all June do is run around getting folks killed. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that helps June ends up on the wall. The Martha that was over June's daughter in the household where June's daughter is being held. She got put up on the wall because she had been bringing the little girl, Hannah Banana, to meet with June. And when June tried to kidnap her, and the little girl freaked out, they hung the Martha for it, right, up on the wall. And a whole host of other people that have found themselves 6 feet under, or hanging on the wall, or whatever, shot in the back, killed, mutilated, whatever, because of June's actions, because of June's no nonsense approach to this whole rebel situation. And she's very angry at June. And so she tells him to hell with June, F June, screw June, and the horse that June rode in on, and storms off. The other Martha that's standing there, the white Martha, the more mousy Martha, the more quieter Martha, he says, I need to know where June is. And she tells him that June, somebody saw 2 handmaids crossing over the border into Chicago. We don't know if it was June, but it could possibly be them. And so he makes a note of it. So when Commander Lawrence comes to him and confronts him about the fact that he didn't support him and didn't speak out for him on the board, he tells Commander Lawrence, it's a time and a place for everything. I can't do that for you right now. But if you hold tight and just do what I ask you to do and be instrumental in what I need you to do, Commander Lawrence, then I will definitely speak up and we'll reapproach it later. Commander Lawrence is confused. And so after he talks with Aunt Lydia and does some contemplating and thinking about the situation, he now wants to he's got some idea about how to handle Nick. So when he talks to Nick and confronts Nick, Nick says to him, I think June is in Chicago. And Commander Lawrence is that all you care about? Is that the only thing that you can manage on your plate right now? Is where June is, how June is, and what June is? It's like that like people are saying that June is like, y'all, your life be damned, whoever you are, in order for my cause. Commander Lawrence is basically accusing Commander Nick of the same thing. Everybody else and everything else be damned for the good of June, for the life of June. You need to be able to divide your focus and make it all balanced so we can get this whole rebel thing off the ground and make it more effective, right? But Nick ain't hearing that. Okay. And so when they go back before the board and it's another board meeting, the head of the board now says, we have had some time to contemplate, and after further thought and brainstorming, we have decided to take up Commander Lawrence's proposal, and we have also decided to go forward with that. So we will have a ceasefire for 24 hours, which will allow the sanctions to be lifted a bit and equal trade, and we will be able to solidify our resources once more. And Nick is like, wait a minute. I thought y'all had decided that y'all wasn't gonna and the head of the board is like, yeah, but we've rethought that. And Commander Lawrence leans out of the line and looks over at Nick. You know, they all lined up and Commander Lawrence leans out. You know what I'm saying? Oh wait, I can't do it. And looks down at Nick, right? And they said, so we're going to do one last bombing, one last hurrah, and scatter all the forces that are there so it'll be safe. The ceasefire will be safe and we can move those goods in and out. And Nick is like, wait a minute, wait. They want him to spearhead the bombing because he is, though a commander, still over the military. They want him to spearhead the bombing. Now, he knows that June is in Chicago. He don't want to bomb Chicago until he can get June out. But no, you got about 15 minutes to get your planes in the air, boo. He said, but no, we still have to get our troops out. We can't bomb while the troops are there. They were like, we got faith in you. You gonna get that done. And Commander Lawrence is just looking at him like, what you gonna do, shawty? What you gonna do? You think you're going to sit here and quietly manipulate everything while getting June out and ignoring everything, every other opportunity that we have to really, really take down this regime? No, you're going to have to forsake June or figure out a way to help June, but still help the cause. The cause still needs to be your number one priority. That's how Commander Lawrence is looking at him. And he realizes at this point that he has been checkmated by Commander Lawrence. Okay? Lydia don't know yet that she's been checkmated by Commander Lawrence. But Nick is acutely aware that he has been checkmated. Commander Lawrence said, you're going to move. Okay? You're going to move from this stance that you on. And I'm going to make sure that you move. Right? Commander Lawrence has gone to the board. He has sufficiently blackmailed them with all the information Aunt Lydia has given him. And they have decided to take up his proposal. Now he need Nick to do his part. Now he need Nick to do what he got to do. Right? This is the trade-off. All right. And so Nick has to get it done. He has to get it done. Now let's talk about June and Janine, and then we're gonna get out of here. Okay. June and Janine are in this rebel faction. Janine has gotten quite comfortable. They've only been there a week or so, right? And Janine has gotten quite comfortable. She has sort of kind of fallen in love with Steven, the head over this faction, the one that wanted June to give him head in order for them to be able to stay there, to be safe there, to have food and stay in their little rebel cluster. Janine is actively sexual with this man, and they all stay in one giant warehouse room. So when he and Janine are having sex, June can hear all of it, and she's looking over at her like, "What in the hell?" Meanwhile, she noticed there's another dude there that's eyeballing her, and she just kind of gives him like a and turns over. They hear some bombing outside, and so June gets up with her lantern and she goes walking. And Steven has stopped screwing Janine long enough to tell her to come back, but June ain't coming back. First of all, she don't want to sit there and hear you screw Janine, right? And Janine seems like she's okay. She's enjoying herself. And she says it's completely consensual a little bit later on in the scene. And June walks up on one of the ladies there, one of the, I guess, lead people there in the rebel faction. And she sees that she's packing up goods and wares to take to another kind of like a trading area, if you will. They are trading with other rebel clusters for food and other things that they need. So they pack up all the things that they feel will be of value, and they travel as a group, a small group, a small part of that faction through the city to this trading place, right? And June wants to go because June has ideas about how she can move out of this faction and possibly move on to find Mayday. Right? Again, it's all about her agenda. At the same time, I think that she is disappointed in Janine. I think she is also jealous of Janine because Janine's son is unfortunately deceased. And Janine also lives in a little bit of her own la la land, and she is able to kind of conform, and she doesn't really feel that same sense of responsible obligation to rebel per se. She's just going to exist or till the soil that she's on. Whatever soil that she's on, she's just going to operate within that, right? And that is a type of freedom, so to speak, mentally. And I think June is resentful of that. I think she's jealous of that. And I think she finds that how lucky you are. It must be nice to be able to lay around and get screwed and not have all these other things to worry about. Not have all these things that you are a martyr over or you've made hold yourself accountable to. And so June goes to Steven later on and she says, "Can I go?" She's asked the lead rebel lady, and the lead rebel lady says, "I can't say that you can go with me to this trading place. You have to ask Steven. That's up to Steven." And so when she goes to ask Steven, he's there with Janine showing her how to shoot a gun, He's behind her showing her how to shoot. And June watches it a little bit. This is why I say June's a little bit jealous. And she's also resentful that Janine is not thinking more strategically, that she's kind of relaxed and comfortable and complacent just in a week's time with me and Steven's booty buddy and not thinking about the ultimate cause, right? Overall goal, if you will. she asks him, can she go? And he says, no, you're not ready. And Janine was like, oh, you should give her a chance. She got 86 kids out of Gilead. And she's done things, and she's smart, and she's a good person to have on your team. And so he contemplates it because of Janine. He's fresh off of Janine's puss. He likes her, I guess, whatever. Um, and he says, okay, but you better do what I say, and you better not overstep your bounds. And June is like, oh, no, I won't. And she wants to know if she can have a gun. He was like, hell no, you can't have no gun. Hell no. It done got us all killed out here. So they head out on this journey to through the city to go to this trading place. And in the middle of that, June see they come up on two dead soldiers that have been, the arms have been cut off and their bodies have been burned, and they, although they've been covered over so that they can't see the bodies from the air when Gilead flies over, she notices, he tells her that this is a part of this another faction that really works hard to kill the soldiers. Like, they are no nonsense. Like, they're not just trying to hide, they are targeting soldiers, they are hunting soldiers. And June sets in her mind that she wants to be a part of that rebel faction instead of this rebel faction who's just seeking to exist and survive. She wants to be with the fighters. She wants to be with the rebels who are putting it down, who putting in that work. Shout out to my street speak, okay? Putting in that work. Okay? So, she gets to thinking. And so they hear soldiers coming upon them, so they run inside a building and they hide. And June, through a crack, can see, soldier come in, and the soldier checking the space out with his flashlight. June can see his gun, and baby, she want that gun. She want that gun. That's her whole goal through this entire thing, is to get a gun, right? So she can set out on her own journey and also have some protection. And she makes some moves that Stephen doesn't like, and after the soldiers leave, he chastises her for it. Don't you ever do that again. You could have gotten us all killed. And she could have. She could have, because if that soldier had assaulted them, they would have killed all of them in there. And that would have been June's fault. And knowing June, while they were shooting them all up and killing all of them, Janine would have snuck out the back with a gun that she done peeled off one of the rebel people and went on about her way and not look back at the fact that all of them had been shot up and killed. That's really June's MO. Just saying. It really is. And so she's just like, okay, fine. So they get to the trading place, and June has their cloaks, their handmade cloaks, heavy coats, that she's going to use to trade. She's got her eye on a table that has a lot of weaponry, and she's trying to find a way to weasel a gun out of this situation, whether she has to steal it or she has to browbeat someone to take these two cloaks and trade her for a piece of a weapon of some sort. She's got plans on this. Janine sees a Cubs hat and she wants to get it for Steven, because he collects sports memorabilia and he lost all of his stuff in the uprising. And Janine takes her cloak and wants to trade it with the guy. And the guy was like, nah. She was like, oh, it's good and warm and you can use it for a pillow and lots of different things. And he was like, nah, I don't think so. So, June, who is still feeling a little tender about what Janine said about them, about her getting their two handmaid sisters killed by the train, about her being instrumental in other people getting killed. Again, this is becoming a running thing that June is getting people killed. And she kind of, wants to help Janine. She has a soft spot for Janine, and she says, why don't you take two? After the guy turns Janine down and she sees how disappointed Janine is, and he does take the two cloaks for the Cubs hat, and June kind of forsakes her goal of getting a weapon for the good of Janine. Later on, she talks with Janine, and Janine is like, she's telling Janine to be careful. Like the way you're moving in regards to Steven is not good. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure, I don't want you to get hurt. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. I'm glad you know everything is consensual, and you think you like him. Janine is like, I think I might like to stay here. I think I'm enjoying myself. I think, I feel safe here. And Steven seems to really like me, and he doesn't mind that I don't have, both of my eyeballs. And, you know, and June is like, I mean, I'm glad you're happy. And Janine is like, but what? What, June? What? And they go through this whole conversation about how she doesn't want Janine to get comfortable. She doesn't want Janine to get complacent. You may not be safe here. You will not always be here to be safe. And I can't be here to help you. So you need to just try to, keep it real surface level so we can stick and move like we want to. And Janine is like, you know what? This is the attitude. I'm happy for first time in a long time. This is the attitude that always gets other people killed. This is the attitude that got Brianna and the other sister killed. And Janine is like, fine. You gonna throw it up in my face every time? That's fine. Whatever. I tell you what, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm leaving this place. If you want to come with me, fine. If you don't stay here, I wish you all the best. Godspeed. And so we see what June packs up and she is going to leave there. And Janine comes and Janine says, I'm going to stay. And June was like, I kind of figured. It's a real tender moment where she doesn't really want to leave Janine behind. One, because although Janine has her faults, boop, 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 and she is, she needs a lot of watching and tending to, right, in order for them not to ultimately get busted. June loves her. They've walked as two since they came into the Handmaid system, and she has a soft spot for Janine. And Janine loves June. June has more than taken care of Janine. She has more than protected Janine, right? And Janine gives her the Cubs hat and says, this is something for you to remember me by. I'm going to stay here. And June is like, fine. And she says, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. And they hug and she goes on about her way. Now, she goes on about her way. She's walking down the middle of the street, which I don't even understand. She's walking down the middle of the street in Chicago, knowing that they fly above, knowing they have soldiers on the ground. She's not being discreet at all. And she has this mustard yellow sweatshirt on. Again, this is the whole setup. This is the whole scene setup. It's always dark and gray and apocalyptic, except for these little pops of color. So down the middle of the street, she's walking with this mustard yellow sweatshirt on, and she hears something. She's not sure what, and she decides to duck under an abandoned car. It's really, and she decides to duck under, and she just gets quiet, and she hears someone walk up, and she sees 2 feet standing there, and she looks up, and it's Janine. Janine has decided to leave that rebel faction and to go ahead and stay with June. And she says, you never let me down. You've always taken care of me. I'm not going to leave you now. And so June is happy. She's excited, right? She's not alone. She does have a partner, someone to look out for her back, so to speak. And they walk on a little bit more, and they come to, June is looking for this rebel faction that is about that life, is about that work, that's taking out guards, taking out soldiers, right? She wants to be a part of them because she wants to do some damage, right? And she feels like they probably will be a little bit closer to Mayday than this rebel faction that's just trying to survive, Steven's faction. And so they come upon this guard station, and it's a ton of food there, but there are no guards. And June realizes they must have left in a hurry. What would make them leave in such a hurry? And so she stops for a minute. And of course, Janine is like, oh, our lucky day. And she goes to fill her bag with some food. And June can hear in the distance the engines, the sound of jets approaching. It's very distant and she's just listening, but of course it's getting louder as they approach. And she said, something is not right. Something isn't right here. Janine, something isn't right. Run. And she can see them approaching. And as they're approaching, they're dropping bombs. Pew, 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 pew. And the buildings are busting loose as Janine and June are running. We see debris and explosion and explosion and explosion. And she's running and right in front of them a bomb is dropped. Okay, commercial. They come back and June is she can barely hear it. Such a far away sound of people saying, yell out, and we can find you. Help me dig this person out. Are you okay? Are there any survivors? Is everyone okay? She can hear it very much sounding like it's in the distance, but it's because her ears are ringing. It's because she was very close to a bomb, and now everything sounds like it's coming from the bottom of a very, very deep hole, muffled, if you will. And so she immediately wants to know where Janine, rubble and soot and darkness and blackness is everywhere. Smoke, fog, debris. Okay. Janine, where are you, Janine? Oh, Janine. Okay. She's walking now through the street, still smoke and fog, and Janine. And then we see someone walk through the fog in the middle of all of this, and it is Moira. Moira walks out of the fog. What the hell is Moira doing here? Moira's got on what looks like rescue gear, rescue workers gear, right? And she says, June? And June turns all slow and sees it's Moira, and it's almost like, Jesus, is that you? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I dead and don't know it? This can't be Moira. Now, we don't know why Moira's there. Moira might be there because maybe Commander Nick was able to get word to the people in Canada, Mayday people in Canada, to try and help and get June out. I don't know. I'm not sure why Moira is there. Maybe this is what they do. Maybe they go and do these rescue missions, kind of like Red Cross, every time there's these huge bombings in cities. Maybe Moira is a part of that volunteer group. I don't know. But at any case, we don't know if Janine is still alive. This is the end of the episode. We don't know why Moira's there and what is going to transpire next. We have no idea. I really, really pray that June decides to come out of Gilead, to come out of this and go into Canada and then reapproach and then realign herself and fight from that standpoint, as opposed to continuing to stay in danger here in the war, in the heart of the war. I don't see how, as a woman, we don't know if Janine is still going to be with her. She's going to be able to matriculate outside of that. I think it's just best for her to go to Canada and then rework how she's going to take Gilead down from there. I think she can be just as viable, but maybe that's just me trying to be cautious and safe. I want to say this. I do agree that June puts people in danger. I do agree in this instance where she's hiding and she just is so hell bent on doing what she wants to do that she risks the lives of all of them. I think that's wrong. I think that is a inherent flaw of June's, right? Everybody else be damned. What I want comes first. At the same time, with respect to the Marthas and the Commanders and other people, Aunt Lydia, whomever, that June has used for her own agenda, ultimately, I don't think she's responsible for them. And I will tell you why. I don't think June is responsible for them because, if you're that afraid, you're not going to help. If you're that afraid, you're not going to get yourself involved. You're going to go on about your business. I'm not saying you got to go tell on June. I'm not saying you got to snitch. But at the same time, you got to be like, leave me out of this. I'm not in this. I don't want to know. Right? There is some part of these individuals that want to help. There is some part of this individual that is on the surface that June senses, and she then taps into that and compels them, through badgery or whatever, to help her. And because there's some part of them that wants to really help, that really wants to dismantle, that really wants to get out of this situation that they're in Gilead, they help. And, we all take our chances, right? When we make our decisions, we have to then stand by them, and we have to live with them. Some people aren't that strong. Some people are strong to a certain extent. And some people, like June, have decided they're going to go balls to the walls. And that's just what it is. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Y'all put it down below. That is the end of this episode. I will see you next week for episode 6. And until next time, honeybees, remember to like, comment, and share. I holla.